Chapter 4. She let out a slow breath. Why? Because I want to know who raised someone like you. The compliment, if that's what it was, threw her off balance. She glanced over her shoulder. What's that supposed to mean? He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. You walk into rooms like you belong, even when you clearly don't think you do. You insult billionaires to their faces, and you draw people the way most photographers only wish they could capture them. A pause. That kind of clarity. Someone taught you to see like that. Her throat tightened. She hated how fast emotion bloomed when people mentioned her mother, especially in rooms like this, especially when spoken in that low, rich voice that made everything sound like a confession. She's sick, Elena said finally. Stage 4, and the system doesn't care if you make good art when your rent's 3 months behind and your parent is dying. I'm sorry, Damian said. The words were simple, sincere, no corporate polish, no detached sympathy, just a man speaking to a woman and meaning it. Elena swallowed. She was a high school art teacher, gave up a lot for me to study, always said the world didn't need more rich people, it needed more people who paid attention. She sounds like a force. She was, still is, some days. They both went quiet for a bit. Damian shifted back in his seat. My father wouldn't have liked her. Why not? She sounds like she had a soul. Elena looked at him. What was he like? She asked quietly. Damian stared past her for a moment, eyes not just distant, but walled off. He believed in 2 things, control and consequence. He built wolf systems like a war machine, efficient, ruthless, profitable. Family was a liability to him. I was a liability. She didn't interrupt, just waited. When I was 12, he continued, he locked me in my bedroom for 3 days after I failed a math test, took my laptop, cut the heat, told me when I learned how to survive discomfort, I'd learn how to win. Elena's heart twisted. That's monstrous, he shrugged. It made me very good at surviving. Not the same as living. Damian looked at her. Number it's not. Another silence settled between them. This one wasn't cold. It was thick, alive with everything that hadn't been said yet. Elena folded her arms. You always this honest with people? No. Then why me? He considered that for a moment. Because you don't treat me like a brand, or a paycheck, or a ghost. She snorted. No, I just insult you and draw unauthorized intimacy into your portrait. He smiled again, and again it disarmed her. I think, he said, you're the first person in a very long time who doesn't want anything from me except the truth. That's not true, she whispered. I want your money too. That made him laugh, low and warm. The sound of it undid something in her chest. Before she could think too hard, she sat down opposite him again and flipped to a new page. You're not getting out of this next pose, she said, pointing. Chin up, hands relaxed, and no more dramatic soul-bearing monologues unless I ask for them. He smirked. Yes, ma'am. And don't call me ma'am. He lifted his hands in mock surrender. Understood. As he tilted his head into the light, Elena caught it again, that flicker of something human and haunted beneath the billionaire surface. And she felt it, not just in her fingers, but in her chest. She wanted to understand him, not the way tabloids did, not the way competitors did, but the way he didn't even seem to understand himself. And that was dangerous, because understanding meant caring, and caring meant losing. The session ran long. The light shifted as the hours passed, late afternoon slipping toward a soft, smoky dusk. Elena worked in near silence, occasionally glancing up to capture the tension in his brow, the way his fingers curled when he thought no one was watching. Damian didn't fidget. He barely blinked. He seemed made for stillness, but not peace, and that, more than anything, was what made him so hard to draw. He was a man who had trained himself to vanish in plain sight. Elena, he said, his voice breaking the silence, what are you afraid of? She froze. He rarely used her name. When he did, it landed heavy, like a weight or a promise. She looked up, startled by the softness in his tone. "I don't know," she said. "Try." She hesitated, then replied, "I'm afraid I'll never be more than almost." His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes dimmed. Almost? Almost successful. Almost stable. Almost good enough. My whole life feels like one long tryout I can't quite pass. Damian nodded once, then said quietly, "I know what that feels like." Elena met his gaze. You know what it feels like to win?" A long pause. "No," he said finally. "I know what it feels like to never stop fighting, even when you've already won, because you're terrified of what happens if you stop. Terrified the real you isn't enough without the empire." Her breath caught. Neither of them said it out loud, but in that moment it was clear. They were more alike than either of them wanted to admit. 2 hours later, outside the penthouse, Elena pulled her coat tighter around her shoulders as the elevator doors slid open. The hallway was colder than she remembered, or maybe it was just the silence clinging to her after what had happened upstairs. Damian hadn't asked for another session yet. He'd stood there as she packed up, unmoving, unreadable. When she turned to leave, he said only, "Thank you. Not see you next time. Not good work. Just that." And it echoed now, louder than it should have. She stepped into the elevator and pressed the button for the lobby. As the doors began to close, she felt the strange pull of something unfinished, something waiting. Meanwhile, Wolf Tower, private floor. Damian stood alone in the darkness of his personal office, high above the rest of Manhattan. The skyline stretched in every direction, gleaming and endless. But he wasn't looking at the city, he was looking at an email. Subject line, "She's not who you think she is." The message was short, untraceable. The domain was encrypted, no name, no return address. Just a photo attachment and 7 words. "She's been watching you for months." He stared at it. The photo was grainy, a still from a street camera. Elena, standing across from Wolf Systems, sketchpad in hand, looking up at the building with that same focused intensity she used when drawing him. It was dated 6 weeks ago, long before the gala. Damian's jaw tightened. Should he delete it? Should he forward it to the security? Should call he someone and anyone? But he didn't. Instead, he stared at the image, trying to remember every conversation, every glance, every moment that now felt suddenly different. Was it a lie? Was she? Later, that night, Elena's apartment. Elena sat on the floor, paint under her nails, her mother's soft breathing barely audible in the next room. A small lamp cast a golden glow over the sketchbook on her lap. She flipped to the newest page, Damian's hand, her own beneath it. Their lines tangled, real, raw. She traced it lightly with her fingertip, then closed the book and rested her head back against the wall. She didn't know what was happening between them, but something was, and no matter how hard she tried to ignore it, she felt it in her bones. This wasn't just a commission. This was a storm, and it had only just begun. Hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.